Hi guys and welcome back to the Mighty Blues. My name is of course Cameron and welcome back today to another live stream. It is Wednesday, I hope you all are doing well. It is another live transfer update. We are well within January and the middle of the January transfer window now, and there is transfer news coming left, right and centre, including news that Everton look set to sign Aston Villa winger Anwar El Ghazi on loan until the end of the season. Luca Digne's deal to join Aston Villa is all but done, all but confirmed, according to a number of reliable sources on social media and over the internet. So it looks like that one is an inevitability. Let's be honest, we knew it was an inevitability anyway, but it seems like we could get an announcement regarding Luca Digne's departure as soon as any time now, really. We're going to talk about Anwar El Ghazi in today's live stream. We're going to talk about the Luca Digne stuff as well. As I said, another 24 hours goes by since our last live stream, and the El Ghazi stuff was sort of floating around yesterday. There was rumours that Everton were interested in a move for Anwar El Ghazi. It is a completely separate deal to the Luca Digne deal, although obviously El Ghazi is coming from Aston Villa and Luca Digne is going to Aston Villa. There's not said to be any sort of any connection between both deals. Originally, we were reading that Aston Villa were wanting around £50 million for the 26-year-old. However, the more and more that the night went on, the more and more that we found that Everton are only really interested in a loan without an obligation to buy on it. And the Luca Digne deal, as I said, the further and further that it went along last night, the more and more likely it became. There was reports yesterday that Luca Digne was due in Birmingham today for his medical. He apparently is in Birmingham today for his medical. Personal terms have been agreed. Fee is within the region of around £25 million, give or take a couple of million here or there. I think I read somewhere that it was 22 million to start, with the potential bonuses of around £4 or £5 million, depending on various different things. So that one looks set to be done. And as I said, loads more news and rumours to sit down and talk about. So let's get into it anyway. Let's get into the substance to what I'm saying, because at the moment it just sounds like I'm talking nonsense, really, doesn't it? It just sounds like I'm making stuff up, but I can absolutely assure you that I am not making anything up. According to Everton, actually, bit of breaking news before we get into the live stream. According to Everton, Richarlison and Yerry Mina were both involved in part of today's training session, as were Jared Branthwaite and Fabian Delph, and Dominic Calvert-Lewin is in full training. So that's a bit of positive news, ahead of the transfer rumours. Yerry Mina and Richarlison back in training, as well as Dominic Calvert-Lewin, of course. But anyway, that's not what we're here to talk about. We're not here to talk about injury news. We'll talk about that over the next coming days or so. Let's talk about the latest transfer rumours. So the latest is coming from Fabrizio Romano, and he has said that Anwar El Ghazi will complete his medical as a new Everton player today. As exclusively revealed, deal agreed on loan from Aston Villa. Luca Digne will undergo his medical and sign as a new Aston Villa player today. Both deals are done. Here we go. So the old "here we go" from Fabrizio Romano is in full swing for both of these deals. Earlier on in the day, Romano said that Everton are set to sign Anwar El Ghazi from Aston Villa. Deal at final stages, medical tests in place too. Last details to be completed in the next few hours. And Luca Digne will join Aston Villa today as well. Ryan Taylor Sport earlier on in the day said that Everton and Aston Villa remain in dialogue over a deal for Anwar El Ghazi. Toffees favour loan. Aston Villa pushing for permanent sale of winger for £50 million. Everton also retain interest in Dwight McNeil, but no movements on that for this month. Fabrizio Romano even earlier said Luca Digne to Aston Villa from Everton. Here we go. Agreement reached €27 million fee. Permanent move. Personal terms agreed this morning. Digne will now travel to Birmingham and undergo his medical. That was at 11:15 this morning. The Liverpool Echo also reporting at a similar time that the deal is close to being done, £25 million, and that it could even be formally announced today, which was really, really interesting. Paddy Boylan said Luca Digne's move to Aston Villa is now close to completion, with a fee now agreed. Romano said that Villa are confident to complete the Luca Digne signing today. Rob Dorset said that he's due in Birmingham today for his medical. So it seems very much like that Anwar El Ghazi will be signing for Everton over the next 24, 48 hours or so, and Luca Digne will almost certainly be signing for Aston Villa. And we've spoken about the Luca Digne situation on a number of occasions over the last coming days or so. Listen, this for me is an absolute inevitability. An absolute inevitability. We've known Luca Digne is leaving the football club now for some weeks. It was absolutely set in stone last Friday when Rafa Benitez had his pre-game press conference for the game against Hull and effectively sat down and said he doesn't want to be what you want me to do with a player that doesn't want to be here. We knew from that point on, if we were being honest with ourselves, that was going to spell the end of Luca Digne's time as an Everton player. But even before that, we knew from various different sources and various different people in the media that Luca Digne wasn't happy and that he was looking for a move away from the football club. Obviously, nothing has been as advanced as what it is now with Aston Villa, but we were still at a stage, as I said, a week or so ago, where we pretty much knew that this was an inevitability. So again, my instant feeling about seeing the Luca Digne news and hearing it and reading it isn't really anything other than just get it done and dusted so we can move on. I think at the moment it's unnecessary noise, and it's a distraction from what the actual real problem is at the football club at the moment, and that's the fact that we can't win games of football. That's the fact that defensively we're absolutely abysmal, and this is the big problem I have with the El Ghazi deal. I understand that Anwar El Ghazi on loan until the end of the season isn't the worst deal in the world. I think I read somewhere that Aston Villa will be covering part of his wages. He scored 10 goals last season in the Premier League, which was more than Richarlison, so he would have been our second highest goal scorer, I believe, in the Premier League last season. He's only got 1 this season so far, but he has also only played 9 games, which is less than somebody like an Alex Iwobi who has the same goal and assists as him this season. And as I said, if it was £15 million, I'd be sitting here much, much more angry than what I am now, because effectively Everton aren't in a position to spend £15 million on an area that doesn't really need addressing that importantly. Don't get me wrong, I've sat here for the last couple of months or so and spoken about how I still think we need another right winger, how I still think we're in need of a top quality winger. But in that, I was talking somebody along the lines of a Luis Diaz, somebody that would come in and would be that superstar, would be that player that dragged us through games single-handedly, won us games single-handedly. And, that's absolutely no disrespect to Anwar El Ghazi, but I don't feel like Anwar El Ghazi will be that player. He did score the winner against Everton at Goodison Park for Aston Villa last season. Really, really nice goal, ironically. But he's not, what I'm saying, he's not a world-class talent where you're going to look at and you're going to think, right, okay, we might necessarily need a winger, but this fella's going to come in and we're going to be, absolutely unbelievable. We don't really need another winger. We don't really need another source of goals. We've got sources of goals within the team, and it sounds mad because 12 months ago, even a few months ago, we were sitting here saying, well, what happens if Dominic Calvert-Lewin and Richarlison both get injured? Well, now we've brought in Damari Gray, who's scoring goals. We've got Anzor Townsend, who's scoring goals. Anthony Gordon is looking a threat, scored a couple of goals. So, in terms of needing goals going forward, yes, we could do with, players coming into the club that are capable of scoring goals and that will bring more goals to the team. Of course we could, any team could. But more importantly for me, we need to be looking at stopping conceding goals, and especially stopping conceding stupid goals like set pieces and balls into the box every single time a ball gets thrown into the box. I've said it a couple of times this week. I honestly think any team in the English football pyramid could score a set piece goal against Everton. As long as you've got a semi-decent footballer on the pitch, you can swing a ball in, you will cause problems, because defensively we're in absolute shambles. The likes of Michael Keane can't defend balls into the box. Ben Godfrey can't defend balls into the box. Mason Holgate isn't very good at doing it. So where I was seeing reports about Everton spending 50 million on Anwar El Ghazi, that was where I had a real big sort of problem with it, because I thought, listen, we don't need to spend 15 million on a 26-year-old winger who, okay, statistically had a good season last season, but for me, every time I've seen him and from what I've gauged from his time at Aston Villa, he's very hit and miss, very hot and cold. Some weeks he'll be absolutely brilliant, the next week he'll be absolutely atrocious, and that's the last thing Everton need, because we've got a squad full of players that are hit and miss, and that's probably why Farhad Moshiri seemingly has a liking to him, because he'll fit right in at Everton in regards to one week he might be great and the next week he might be absolutely atrocious, because that's what the majority of this Everton squad is, hit and miss. But we're not spending £15 million on him. We're bringing him in on loan, and a loan deal with seemingly out an obligation to buy. Again, that hasn't been confirmed as of yet, but there is a number of rumours and murmurs over social media over the last hour or so that it won't be. There won't be an obligation to buy on the end of it. I think there's an option if Everton are interested, and that option is Aston Villa want £15 million for him, which again I think is incredibly steep for a player in a position that we don't necessarily really need to focus on. But a loan deal for 6 months until the end of the season, does he strengthen our squad? Well, yes, he does, because he's coming into the team. As I said, he's scored this season in the Premier League. He had a relatively decent, he had a good season, didn't he, really? 10 goals in the Premier League is a fantastic season. But he's not massively inspiring, is it? It's not a transfer that we're sitting here. And I know this shouldn't really mean anything, because a lot of people weren't massively inspired by Andros Townsend. A lot of people weren't massively inspired by Demarai Gray. So I understand that being inspired by a transfer isn't the be all and end all, and it's something that sometimes can come back and prove a lot of people wrong. And I hope this deal does prove a lot of people wrong. Listen, Anwar Ghazi, by all accounts in the media, will be an Everton player over the next coming 24, 48 hours or so. So I hope he comes in, and I hope he is absolutely unbelievable. I hope he is unbelievable. I hope he comes in, scores 15 goals between now and the end of the season, and we sign him, and he's boss, and we love him. He is 26, so he's not quite sort of getting towards the back end of his career. He's at that stage where he should be in his prime, or certainly coming into his prime over the next year or so. So he's a decent age. As I said, we're not committing to any sort of financial deal for him. Yes, I'm sure we'll pay a part of his wage, but also we'll Aston Villa. It's just more, as I said, for me, it's the uninspiration of the signing. He's not a name that makes you go, well, actually, do you know what? This could be a good bit of business here. It's more, for me anyway, another inconsistent winger that's going to come in, might have a decent game every now and then, but more often than not, probably won't do very much. And again, it's a position that we don't really need to be targeting, and it's sort of a random transfer. And I know there's been a couple of rumours. I can't confirm whether those rumours are true or not on social media to suggest that this isn't actually a signing that Rafa Benitez was particularly keen on. It's more coming from the owner of the football club. And if that's true, then how many times do we need to make this mistake of allowing Farhad Moshiri to have a say? I know it's his football club. I know it's his money. I know he can do what he wants because he ultimately owns the football club. But how many times did Farhad Moshiri need to show himself and show all of us that he is incapable of making decent footballing decisions? And the sooner he admits that and walks away and starts employing people who are capable of making those footballing decisions, including a manager who's good enough to make good footballing decisions, then the better Everton will be. I don't get it with Farhad Moshiri. I don't get it. What Farhad Moshiri, if Farhad Moshiri is looking at Everton as a business and as a way of making money, which he is, let's be honest, the new stadium is great, and it's great that we're getting a new stadium, but the reason that the new stadium is being built is because it will add a hell of a lot more money onto how much Everton is worth. And if Farhad Moshiri does want to sell the football club in the coming years, it will be worth a lot more with a brand spanking new stadium on the banks of the River Mersey than it will be still stuck in Goodison Park needing a new stadium. So if Farhad Moshiri is looking at Everton as a business and purely a business, then I don't see why he doesn't just think, do you know what? Instead of me trying to put me 10 pence worth in this, that and the other, knowing full well that I've got a bad record of doing that in the past, why don't I just employ people who have got a good record of building football clubs and making good footballing decisions, and I'll just give them the money and they can spend it and they can improve us? Because I don't get, does Farhad Moshiri not understand that the more successful Everton are, the more money he will make? The higher Everton finish in the league, the more money he will make. Everton finish in Europe, he makes more money. Champions League, he makes more money. God forbid we ever challenge for a league title or win any trophy in the coming years, he'll make more money. The more successful we are, the more money he will make. No one's asking him to care about Everton. Well, but we are asking him to care about Everton because that's what he should do, because he's the owner of the football club. But I just don't understand how he doesn't really seem to care about wanting to maximise his profits and make as much money as possible. If that's all it's about for Farhad Moshiri, money, then he's not really doing a good job at that either. So that would suggest it's not really about money, it's about control and wanting to have that final decision making. But anyway, that's by the by. That they're rumours on social media. We don't know whether they are true. And history will tell you that if Rafa Benitez isn't happy with a signing or isn't happy with a decision being made, he will make that apparent. And whether that's being made apparent in team selection or, decisions made on a match day, I'm sure we'll see. You'll be able to tell. Put it that way. If El Ghazi signs and sits on the bench for the next however many months, i.e. Josh King, then you could probably think, yeah, you can tell the manager isn't a fan here. If he signs, starts every game, and regardless of how bad he is or how good he is, continues to play, i.e. Solomon Rondon, you'll know, okay, the manager has got a liking for the player. But anyway, as I said, getting back on track, because I had another little bit of a rant there. If you are watching live, by the way, 67 people watching. If you could hit those likes, that would be an unbelievable amount to me. If you're new to the channel, don't forget to subscribe. If you could get your thoughts in the live comments, that would be brilliant as well. But going back to the original point, as I said, I just don't think a winger is a position that we desperately need to strengthen in. Again, if somebody, it would be different if it was somebody like a Luis Diaz again. And I keep mentioning Luis Diaz because he's had an unbelievable start to this season. He was linked so heavily with Everton in the summer. And I know that there's absolutely no chance that Luis Diaz signs for Everton now. Absolutely no chance. And maybe there was no chance of him signing in the summer. Maybe it was just, agent talk and all that sort of stuff. But I'm mentioning Luis Diaz because if it was a world-class talent, and I would class Luis Diaz as a world-class talent, that we were signing because an opportunity had come up, you would go, well, okay, we don't really need another winger, but you're talking about a top-quality player who is going to vastly improve us, and maybe that's an opportunity that the club couldn't really pass up on. We're not talking about that. We're talking about a squad player at a club in a similar situation to us, who, by all accounts, when you listen and read what Aston Villa fans have got to say on social media, they're not particularly bothered about him leaving the football club. Now, I was massively surprised to see his stats last season. Scored 10 goals in the Premier League, which is really, really good, to be honest with you. And as I said, I know if Richarlison was being linked to Aston Villa, there'd be uproar, as there is with Luca Dean being linked with Aston Villa. So it says a lot that a lot of Aston Villa fans aren't really that arsed about El Ghazi being linked away. Now, that might be because he's been there for a while and they've got Bailey and they're getting Luca Dean and they've just signed Coutinho and they've got new names in there, so they're not really bothered about El Ghazi, despite the fact that he had a really good season last season. Or it might be because, as I said, he's very hit and miss. You don't know what you're getting one week to another. Now, a loan deal at the end of the day isn't the worst thing, is it? It isn't the worst thing. There's no obligation to buy. I'm sure they'll cover a lot of his wages. He'll come in and be another squad player. Now, my biggest worry about this, and somebody mentions it in the comments, and Everton talks about, says, will El Ghazi block Anthony Gordon's path? Hope not. And a couple of other people have mentioned this on social media. This is my biggest worry, is where does Anwar El Ghazi fit at Everton? So it's all well and good us sitting here saying, loan deal, not too bad, comes in, proving he can score goals. I think he scored the last 2 times he's played against Everton, which is probably why Farhad Moshiri signed him, because, he signs players that play well against Everton, no matter how good or bad they are. That's my sort of biggest concern with this, is you look at the Everton side now, you've got a goalkeeper who is absolutely sound, no problem with him whatsoever. You've got a backup goalkeeper who, has only played a handful of times. Some games he's been good, some games he's been atrocious. But as a backup goalkeeper, he's probably at the level you would expect. You've got a left back who we've just signed and is up and coming and looks promising, because the other left back at the club, Luca Dean, will leave over the next couple of days or so, maybe even sooner than that, maybe even by tonight. You've got a right back at the club who's just signed and looks promising, and the other right back at the club is the club captain. You've got one really good centre-half who's never fit and always injured. You've got one good, young, up-and-coming centre-half, but probably isn't good enough to lead a centre defensive partnership on his own. And then you've got 2 bang-average centre-backs in Keane and Holgate. And then you've got Branthwaite, who's still very much on the young side, and we don't know an awful lot about him. You go into the midfield, you've got Alan, who's a battler, works hard, but hasn't really got the legs to fit in the Premier, to compete on his own. Certainly needs help around him. You've got Decore, who no problem with, works really hard, good athlete, exactly what we need. And then you go in, we've got Gomez, who, again, hit and miss. One week he can be brilliant, the next week he can be dreadful. You've got Tom Davis, who probably shouldn't be starting games of football for Everton. All right, squad player, but that's about it. You've got Delph, who shouldn't be anywhere near the club. You've got, I can't even remember, you've got Gabaman, who again is only just returning to fitness and probably needs a loan out. So there's a position, as well as centre-back, centre midfield is a position that we're light in. And then you look at the forwards, you've got Gray, Iwobi, Dobbin, Gordon, Calvert-Lewin, Richarlison, Townsend, you know, a plethora of players there that can fit. And you add El Ghazi to that, and I sort of look at the El Ghazi thing and think, well, where does he fit into this Everton team? Because if he's coming in on loan, then my general thought process will be he's going to play. He's going to want to impress, isn't he? He's going to want to come in and do what every player, you know, that comes into any club on loan wants, to have an unbelievable 6 months so that the club sign them on a permanent deal in the next transfer window, and then that motivation for most players goes then, because they sort of just think, yeah, well, I'm here now, I've got my contract, I'm earning me consistent money, this, that and the other. So El Ghazi is going to want to come in and make a stance, and I'm sure the reason he's signing for Everton is because he's not happy with the fact that he's being used as a bit part player at Villa. So where does that leave Anthony Gordon? Because if you look at Everton's front four, let's say that, and I'm just throwing it out there here, let's say that Rafa Benitez does start to use a 3 in midfield, which will be a dream come true, by the way, and I'm not expecting it, but let's say Rafa Benitez does start to use a 3 in midfield, and that 3 is Alan Decore, at the moment probably Gomez, who knows whether it'll be Sean Longstaff come the end of the window or somebody else. Then you've only got 3 positions up front then. You've got Damari Gray, you've got Richarlison, you've got Dominic Calvert-Lewin, you've got Anthony Gordon, you've got Andros Townsend, and you've got Anwar El Ghazi. You've still got the likes of Lewis Dobbin and Alex Iwobi, but they're players that I'm not really seeing as starters. Certainly given, you know, Lewis Dobbin isn't getting an awful lot of game time, rightly or wrongly, and Alex Iwobi isn't really getting game time either. The others are frequent starters this season, and yes, you could say, yeah, but it's good to have options, Cam. It's good to have, you know, it's good to have a squad. And I agree, it is good to have a squad, but we haven't got those options in other areas, so surely the importance is to go and strengthen in those other areas. Now, as I said, if we do play with a 3 in midfield, you've only got then an option of having 3 up front. And if everybody's fit, who plays? Do you drop Calvert-Lewin? No, because he's our number 1 striker, so he's playing. Would you drop Richarlison? I would say no, because, again, fan favourite, can always get you a goal out of nothing, great player. Then who fills the other place? Damari Gray's been unbelievable this season. Unbelievable signing. You know, a shining light in what has been a dross season. Anthony Gordon's coming into his own. So there's them 2 fighting for that place. El Ghazi's going to want to fight for it. It's just, again, not the worst signing in the world on loan, and financially not the worst signing in the world. If he comes and he's shite, a bit like Josh King, he leaves and then scores an hat-trick against us for someone else next season. If he comes and he's great, then maybe we want to pay that pay that £15 million that Villa wants. And I know some people have said, can Gordon play in the midfield? And I know Coffee Time says, can Gordon play in the midfield? He can, but I don't think Everton need the Anthony Gordon type of midfielder. I think we need another physical presence, another athlete, a bit like an Abdoulaye Doucouré mould in there next to Alan and Doucouré, which will allow Doucouré to move forward. Abdoulaye Doucouré's done an interview earlier on this week with EvertonFC.com talking about how he loves playing with Alan, but he's, you know, there's no secret that he's more of an attacking player than Alan is, and he likes to get forward and he likes to help out. And he also said in that same interview, I think playing with a 3 in midfield is better sometimes. So he's effectively crying out to have another body next to Alan so he can get forward. And Jeff says, rightly so, just to try and play devil's advocate, how often have we looked at our bench and thought who would come in and change the game? You're spot on, and having another name on that bench and having another Premier League experienced player who's proven he can score goals in this league time and time again, and also, by the way, proven he can be a match winner, isn't the worst thing, especially on a loan deal. But I just look and think, at the moment, the way I see Everton is we could score 15 goals in a game. We'd probably concede 17 because we haven't really got a massive problem with scoring goals. We've had a massive problem with creating chances in recent weeks and months, and that's because we haven't had Dominic Calvert-Lewin fit. I've got no doubt in my mind that when Dominic Calvert-Lewin and Richarlison are both back to fitness, we won't really have a big issue with scoring goals and creating goals, but we'll still have a big issue with conceding and stopping conceding. we'll still have a massive issue with balls coming into the box because that isn't seemingly being fixed anytime soon, is it? So I just look at it and think, is that a priority? And that's why it's sort of screaming to me that it seems like somebody's been in the ear of our owner and said, listen, I know you might need this, that, and the other, but I've got this other player who plays in a completely different position that you don't really need at the moment, who's dead boss, go and get him. And Moshiri's done his typical, yeah, there you go, how much you want for him, we'll have him. I don't know. It's an interesting one. Let us know your thoughts on it in the live comments. We will get into the live comments in a minute, and we are going to talk about the Luka Dean situation as well. But in regards to El Ghazi, as I said, at the moment, according to Fabrizio Romano and a number of other sources, quite reliable sources as well. Let me just double check that nothing else has been said since we've been talking, because we're at this point in the transfer window now where anything could break at any time. It hasn't, but at this point, at this moment in time, according to Fabrizio Romano, Anwar El Ghazi will complete his medical as new Everton player. The deal is being agreed on loan from Aston Villa until the end of the season, and Luka Dean will undergo his medical and sign as an Aston Villa player. The Dean deal is worth around £25 million. I believe it's a 4.5-year contract, which is quite a lucrative contract for Luka Dean. But as I said, Aston Villa were pushing for a permanent move of £15 million for El Ghazi, but it looked like Everton have got their man on loan. And yeah, I understand it. Not the worst deal, not the worst deal in the world for a loan deal. Experienced player, as I said, 10 Premier League goals last season. Has only scored once this season, but, let's be honest. He's only played there 9 times, I think. And you've got to take into consideration the inevitable goal that he'd have scored against Everton had he played for Everton, for Villa, in the next coming weeks or so. That's probably why Moshiri's bought him, because he thought he scored against us the last 2 times, so I'm going to bring him in to avoid him doing that, and then we'll just never play him. But I'm really interested to hear your thoughts on this one, because, again, I'm not really inspired by it. I'm not, because it's a name that if you'd have said to me 2 weeks ago, Everton are going to sign Anwar El Ghazi, I'd have said, why? He's a squad player at Aston Villa. He's not doing enough to get in their first team consistently. Okay, granted, I seen his stats last season and he was surprised because I didn't think he'd scored as many goals as he did last season. But still doesn't change the fact that I think he's very hot and cold. I've looked at some, what Aston Villa fans are saying on social media, and they don't particularly see him arsed, and that's a big sign. If you go and look at what Burnley fans are talking about the deal for Chris Wood to join Newcastle, a lot of Burnley fans are up in arms, which would suggest that it's a decent deal for Newcastle. Not that that's all that matters, but if you're signing a player and the fans of the team that you're signing the player from are sort of going, yeah, I'm not that bothered, really, or even worse, they're laughing and saying, okay, now what are you doing? That's when you sort of think, hang on, what's going on here? But a loan deal it makes it a much more different conversation than if we were paying £15 million for him. If we were paying £15 million for him, then I'd have probably been doing this live stream outside the Liver building with a big sign saying what's going on, because that would just be a nonsense in my opinion. Whammy says loads of his goals were pens. They were pens, to be fair, they were pens, but means he can take a pen, which would have been helpful a couple of weeks ago against Brighton, wouldn't it? But as I said, a loan deal, not the worst in the world, I suppose, in regards to financial situation and strengthening the squad. But I just don't think we particularly needed another winger. It's like us going out and signing, it's like if we went out now and signed another, decent goalkeeper on loan. You'd be looking and thinking, well, yeah, he's a decent keeper, he's coming in. But he's probably not going to play, and we don't need a goalkeeper. So what's the point? Well, when there's other areas on the pitch, i.e. centre-back, which for me, if Everton come out of this January transfer window without signing a centre-back and the reliance is still on Yerry Mina becoming fit, then I think we're in a dangerous situation. And centre midfield, which is so vitally important as well. They're the main areas for me. Everton shouldn't have even been looking at a winger this summer, and this window. And to be fair, I don't particularly think Everton were looking for a winger. I think what's happened is an opportunity's presented itself, and if that opportunity was a world-class player, we'd all be sitting here going, we don't really need a winger, but look at the player we're getting. But it's not. The opportunity is seemingly a squad player at Aston Villa who isn't really blowing any skates up there, and that's just uninspiring, isn't it? Don't get me wrong, if he comes in which it looks like he will be coming in. I'll get behind him. I'll back him as I will with any Everton player. I'll get behind him. And as I said before, I hope he comes in and scores 15 goals, between now and the end of the season. And he's absolutely amazing. And he's a massive part to play in us, hopefully, having a strong second half to the season, as the manager keeps saying. But am I confident that that will happen? Not really. Not really. And he is a decent squad player. But we're at the point now where it's mad, isn't it? Because you can't, it's difficult to criticise the club for strengthening the squad because, as Jeff rightly said before, we've criticised the club time and time again for being in situations where you're looking at your bench and there's absolutely no one there whatsoever. But having said that, we haven't, for me, got a great starting 11. So we should be looking at improving our starting 11. And then the players that are in our starting 11 become your squad players, and all of a sudden your squad gets better off of that basis as well. Now, the club might argue that this is what they're doing with this deal, and what I would say is, where does El Ghazi fit in? Where does he fit in then? Because we all know we need to start playing with a 3 in midfield. But even if we don't play with a 3 in midfield, and that allows for 4 attacking options, you've got Dom and Richie who are assert, so there's 2 already. Gray, some would say is assert at the moment. I think most people would say Gordon. A lot of people would say is assert at the moment. There's your 4 places. Where does El Ghazi just coming off the bench for the last 10 or 15 minutes to have an impact on games? He's not going to be happy with that, is he? He's not going to want to come to Everton on that basis. So it's an interesting one. Definitely let us know your thoughts in the live comments, and we will get involved with as many of them as we can. Let's get into the comments then before we go on to talk about the other transfer of the day, which is, of course, Digne, as his deal to join Aston Villa looks set to be all but done. I fully expect to see Digne wearing Aston Villa gear within the next 24 hours or so. And again, that's just me reading on social media the latest news on it. I don't know anything more than anybody else. If you are enjoying, please hit that thumbs up button. It takes a second to be new. Don't forget to subscribe. C-Play says, no, he's crap. There you go. Wormy says, Cabnard, how's it going, guys? I'm not too bad. Hope you're doing well. Jeff says, Wormy, what's happening? Philip says, hi, Cam and Wormy. Hernandez says, what is happening? He is not very good. What we surely could have received someone else on loan. Maybe. I'd have gone to them and said, we want Jacob Ramsey, to be honest with you. We'll have Jacob Ramsey on loan instead. But somebody at the football club, whether that's the manager, questionable, or the owner, somebody at the football club has had their head turned on Anwar El Ghazi. Now, whether that's because of his footballing ability, or whether that's because they've got an agent in his ear saying he's like Lionel Messi, but just doesn't really play much, I don't know. Awobi Mark 2 says, it's Nizzy. Stats last season were very, very good, to be fair. Very, very, very good. This season haven't been as good, but last season they were very, very good. And he did score a belter at Goodison, which means at least if he does sign, the least we can get out of him is he won't score against us at Goodison. But then again, I say that, and Dean scored against us at Villa Park last season, an own goal. So, Jason says, hi, Cam and everybody. Reece says, absolutely not what we need. He has surprisingly good numbers, even though he's an unremarkable player. However, a winger is not what we need right now. Agree. Wormy says, screw off Everton, sign Anwar El Ghazi. We are signing Aston Villa rejects now, really. Well, as I said, some people won't really, sort of agree with what I said before about look at how Villa fans are reacting. Some people will say that doesn't matter, Cam, that's irrelevant. They might just be doing it as a mechanism to say, oh yeah, we don't want him, he's not that good, even though he is. But I take a lot from seeing what opposition fans have got to say. If Villa fans were saying, do you know what, he's a decent player there, I'm a bit worried that we're losing him, I'd go, actually, do you know what, that's not too bad, that. But Villa fans, a lot of them have seen a sort of laughing and saying, yeah, you can have him, there you go. And that isn't a good sign, is it? Andy says, alright, Cam, alright, afternoon, everyone, hello, mate. And Andy says, bringing in new Alex Iwobi just because Moshiri is and his friend is it with his agent. Well, listen, well, as I say, if he does come in, let's get behind him. Because his stats last season have been better than anything Alex Iwobi has ever produced in an Everton shirt. So it's slightly unfair to tarnish him with that brush. But let's see what he does. As I said, I'm sure we all hope that he comes in and is absolutely unbelievable. But let's wait and see. Philip says, can't get in the Villa side, so we sign him. At least it's a loan, says Lewis. Says Will. Wormy says 22 million for Dean is stupid. We're going to talk about Dean in a moment. Reece says, don't mind a loan with no obligation. Gives us the option with Prem experience and doesn't block an academy graduate path. However, I still maintain he's not what we need. He isn't what we need, I agree. And hopefully you're right. Hopefully this doesn't harm the development of somebody like an Anthony Gordon. Demarai Gray, 25 years old, come in, is going to be a starter for Everton, as is Richarlison, as is Dominic Calvert-Lewin. My worry is, will Anwar El Ghazi all of a sudden sort of, will him being an Everton player take more and more opportunities off of Anthony Gordon? Will Anthony Gordon start to find himself not in the starting 11? Will he start to find himself under that? Does he need to go out on loan argument? Because I think what we're seeing at the moment is Anthony Gordon, who needs to be played every single week, needs to be played as much as possible, because he's improving, he's getting better. He scored his first couple of goals a couple of weeks ago, very nearly had another one last week against Hull. Really, really good assist. Again, in the last 3 games, Anthony Gordon has been the best player in an Everton shirt on the pitch. So the last thing we need is to take him out of that situation. I'm not saying play 90 minutes of every game. Give him a rest by all means and take him off by all means. But the last thing we need is for him now to be taken out the starting 11 and only coming off the bench for 10 or 15 minutes. That's what if El Ghazi's coming in and it's gonna be him or Gordon, I would rather hit Gordon starting and El Ghazi coming off the bench with 10 or 15 minutes to go. And maybe that's what Rafa Benitez is looking for. Maybe, we don't know. We'll wait and see. Sad to see Dean leave, but we can't have disgruntled players putting poison down, says Mike. Remy says, I wouldn't even loan El Ghazi for free. What's the point bank average? Interesting. Jeff says, can everyone please admit now that the problem isn't Benitez, it's Moshiri? Benitez is not behind the El Ghazi deal. I think Benitez is a problem, because ultimately Benitez manages the team. Benitez determines the style of football that we play. Benitez is making the substitutions and bringing on, players that shouldn't be coming on and leaving players on that shouldn't be there. So I think he is to blame. But overall, for the downfall of Everton Football Club over the last 4 or 5 years, Rafa Benitez has got very little to do with that. He's just effectively the punch bag at the moment. That is down to Farhad Moshiri, I agree. Matty says, 5-month loan, paying half his wages. We need depth. It's smart business. Mo says, what do you think of Gray and Townsend? I think they're great. Well, I think Gray is great. I think Townsend is a good squad player. If he comes on loan, let's give him a chance, says Mo. Or what did we think? Okay, I get where you come from. And Jason says, El Ghazi, not the worst I've seen. Guess he gives us more numbers. I thought 25 million for the team was a lot for a guy his age, but then I see Newcastle signing 30-year-old Wood for 25 million. Yeah, well, Newcastle are bringing in a player that they believe will score enough goals to keep them up. And I was listening to TalkSport this morning, and actually, realistically, I think he averages something like 1 goal in 3 Premier League games, Chris Wood. So at that level, at that sort of record, he might be enough to keep Newcastle up, which is ultimately that's the aim, isn't it? That's the aim. He's not pretty. He's not an oh my god signing, but they were never going to sign it. When I was seeing people in the summer saying, oh, they're going to sign Mbappe and Haaland now, fucking absolute nonsense, mate. Nonsense. Look at Everton. When we had the money before it all went wrong, we weren't signing Mbappe and Haaland, were we? We were signing, the likes of Michael Keane and Jordan Pickford. Jordan Pickford specifically a good player, but they're coming in from lower league Premier League clubs they were the best players of the lower league. The lower sort of ranked Premier League clubs. They weren't world class players. That was never going to happen. And where is it, by the way? I've just seen a really good point from Jeff. Jeff says, Cam, Leicester fans were laughing when we signed Gray. Fans chat shit. They just acting big because they've signed some big names. Very, very good point. And a possibility, a big possibility. And hopefully, if anything, El Ghazi comes in and thinks, well, do you know what? I'm going to prove everybody wrong. And if he has got that attitude, and which was exactly the attitude that Demarai Gray had, then he'll be welcome, because he's got quality. He's got, he's proven that before. And if he has the attitude of, I'm going to come in and show my quality, then best of luck to him, and I'll get behind him. But, let's wait and see if that is the case. Anyway, that is it on the El Ghazi stuff for the moment. When he does sign, because let's be honest, it's an inevitability, we will have a video out as soon as he signs talking about the deal, as we will have a video out when the Luca Dean move to Aston Villa is confirmed as well. So don't forget to look out for those. If he hasn't signed before tomorrow evening, then I'm sure we'll talk about him again, because we're doing another one of these live streams tomorrow evening, as we're doing every day at the moment. But, for the time being, it looks like the deal is said to be done. Not the worst move in the entire world, given it's a loan deal and given some of his stats. But it worries me about, where he fits in. And I just don't think it's a priority position. But there you go. Anwar El Ghazi looks set to be joining Everton from Aston Villa on a loan deal. Aston Villa wanted £15 million for him. However, Everton pushed for a loan. Cloven says, is El Ghazi wanting to join us? It's just rumours. According to Fabrizio Romano, it's a done deal, mate. So we'll wait and see. Anyway, let's talk about Luca Digne then for a second. We sat down yesterday and pretty much talked about the inevitability of Luca Digne leaving and it seemingly being Aston Villa who were the runaway side. It has now become even more apparent over the last 24 hours or so. As I said, Fabrizio Romano saying that Luca Digne will undergo his medical and sign as a new Aston Villa player today. Both deals are done, and that was an hour ago. He said even longer, 2 hours ago, 3 hours ago, that that team will join Aston Villa today. Again, Ryan Taylor Sports saying that. That was regarding El Ghazi. Romano saying that Luca Digne to Aston Villa from Everton. Here we go. Agreement reached at 27 million. The Echo reporting that the deal is done closing in on a deal for 25 million. Apparently, it's a 4.5-year contract. Paddy Boylan saying the same. Various different really reliable sources and sources close to Everton Football Club confirming or certainly stating that Luca Digne is all but an Aston Villa player, signed on a 4.5-year deal, I believe, for around £25 million. And yeah, as I said at the start of the live stream, the news that we've known was coming for a long, long time. The news that we've known to expect. Whilst it isn't the news that a lot of Evertonians want to hear, let's be honest, it's not a shock. I don't think there's any, we haven't all of a sudden woken up this morning and sort of gone, oh my God, Luca Digne signing for Aston Villa, where'd this come from? Meg says, Cam has Digne gone to Villa on loan or 25 million. It's a permanent deal, mate, when it's announced. And yeah, that is the end of Luca Digne's time as an Everton player, which is really, really disappointing. I can't lie, and I've said it before and I'll say it again. The deal in itself financially probably isn't the worst deal in the world. £25 million. Seen some people say 20, and there's a couple of people in the comments. 25 million, that's a joke. We've been ripped off there. What are we doing giving them to 25 million? I actually don't think, given a couple of things, one of them being his age. £25 million for the 28-year-old left back, I don't particularly think is that bad of a deal. But also, let's not forget, this is a player who has been, or seemingly, this is a situation that has been in the public eye for a number of weeks now. It has been absolutely blatant that Luca Digne wants to leave Everton Football Club. Now, whether that was because of, a spat with the manager, or whether that was because he wanted European football, whatever it was for, whatever the reason behind it, that's irrelevant at this point. The point is, it's been public knowledge and public information that Luca Digne has wanted to leave the football club. It was made public by the manager last Friday. He literally come out and said he doesn't want to be here. The manager hasn't featured him in the last 3 or 4 or 5 games, which again says to you that he's got no future at the club. And all of the top journalists for weeks have been coming out and saying, yeah, he's going to leave. It's just about who he's going to and which team wants to pay the money. So, given that he's 28 years old, 29 years old shortly, and we've sort of not had any leverage with this deal because of how open it's been. As I said, it's not like we're sitting here. Let's say this was Dominic Calvert-Lewin at the moment, and Aston Villa wanted Dominic Calvert-Lewin, let's say for argument's sake, and Everton went, absolutely not. We want to keep him. Dom wants to stay here, absolutely not. And we sold him to Villa for 25 million. I'd be going, do you know what? That's awful, that, because that's nowhere near the price. But this is different. Luca Digne isn't saying, I badly want to stay at Everton. The manager isn't coming out and saying, we really want Luca Digne to stay. The manager's effectively come out and gone, yeah, we want him to leave, and he wants to leave. So we've got no leverage in regards to transfer fee whatsoever, because we've clearly got no desperation to keep the player. So when I seen it was £25 million a couple of days ago, reportedly, I actually thought, you know what? 25 million for a 28-year-old who doesn't want to be here and the manager doesn't want him here, rightly or wrongly, probably isn't the worst deal in the world. It's frustrating, of course it is, because it again, and I said this on the video that I've pre-recorded of him joining, little spoiler there, I said this on that, it again highlights another sort of reason and another scenario in which just shows the absolute shit pile of a situation that this football club is in, because that's exactly the football club, the situation that we're in. Jeff says, Romano said 27 million euro, we said, so around 24-25 million pounds. It's another situation that highlights the mess that is Everton Football Club, and the reason for that is because Luca Dean come out literally less than 12 months ago, signed a new long-term deal with the club and spoke about how much he loves the club, how much he's committed to the project, how much he desperately wants to be here, this, that and the other. And, you know, let's be honest, the reason he now doesn't want to be here is probably down to the manager, whether that's because he's had a falling out with the manager and the manager's told him to leave, or whether that's because he spat his tummy and said, oh, I don't want to be here while you're here. Again, irrelevant at this point. He's left the club, or he certainly is within hours of leaving the football club, maybe even less than that. So the reasons for it are irrelevant. The point is the fact it's being made so public, and the fact that Luca Dean was seemingly so happy less than 12 months ago at the football club, and throughout the summer transfer window, when let's say some people would say, yeah, well, he was happy when we were doing well in the league and then we finished 10th. Well, he didn't make any sort of fuss in the summer. There wasn't any sort of rumours around him leaving in the summer. It was very much still, I'm happy at Everton, I'll stay here. And that was when Benitez had come in. So, it again, whether it's a good business deal or not, when I'm reading it and when I'm looking into it and when I'm sort of thinking about it, I can't get too upset, because as I said a couple of days ago, I've absolutely, I've criticised this team and these players, including Luca Dean, on a number of occasions over the last few months or so, and I can't sit here and say I'm absolutely heartbroken by him leaving, and I don't think I'd be absolutely heartbroken by any of this current squad leaving, with the exception of maybe Richarlison, because I've got some form of mad connection with Richarlison for some reason. But anybody else, including your top players, your Pickfords, your Calvert-Lewins, I'd just be numb to it. And you know, if it was Richarlison, I'd probably be numb to it as well, because that's what Everton does to you. Everton makes you numb to these things. Everton have put us through months and months of utter dross, dragged us through the dirt for months and months. I can't sit here and say I'm utterly devastated that a certain player is leaving the football club. It's extremely frustrating, of course it is extremely frustrating, especially considering he's going to Aston Villa, who are a side that we would deem as, rivals for, we're not really European rivals, are we? We're rivals to be the best team of the rest of the Premier League sides that aren't the good ones, which is a dire situation to be in itself. But it's the fact that this is being made so public. It's the fact that Luca Dean is going to Aston Villa, who are only 3 points ahead of Everton, and Everton have got a game in hand. It's the fact that 12 months ago he was so happy here, and now publicly it's been known that he doesn't want to be at the football club. And he is, whether we like it or not, he is, one of our most creative players. In fact, probably is our most creative player in regards to, putting balls into the box and creating chances. He hasn't had a good season so far, granted. I'm sure he'd say, well, hang on, a lot of that is down to the fact that I haven't had the proper centre-forward in the box to create chances for, and that'd be a good argument on his part. I would fully understand that. But, again, it's just, I read it and I look at it, and to be honest, I want it over with now. I want it over with. If anybody at Everton is watching, which they won't be, because why would they be? They might be listening to an Everton space, but they're probably not watching the channel. Just get it done with. If it's done, announce it. Get it over and done with, because that's what we need now. We're at this stage where it's a cloud hanging over us. We know it's happening. We know he's left or immediately leaving, whatever you want to say. We know it's only a matter of time. Get it done and get it announced and get it over with, so we can put it behind us and we can go, do you know what? Every Evertonian can then sit down and say, this is my opinion on it. I agree with it, and I'm happy because it's a good business deal and he doesn't want to be here. Or I don't agree with it and Rafa Benitez is destroying the club, or whatever else you might want to say. But we can all have our say and we can put it behind us and we can focus on what actually is the most important thing in all of this. And we simply can't get lost in this. Luca Dean isn't important to Everton anymore because he's leaving. I wish him the very best of luck. I hope he has an absolute nightmare in a couple of weeks at Goodison against Everton. And, other than that, as I said when Carlo Ancelotti left, I'm not really asked what he does with the rest of his career. What I am asked about is the fact that Everton have still only won one Premier League game since September. We still have only picked up 6 points out of a possible 36 points in the league. The Luca Dean situation at the moment is creating unnecessary noise and an unnecessary distraction from what is the real problem. Is Luca Dean leaving the football club a problem? Could be. If Vitaly Mykolenko doesn't settle in and takes a little bit, longer to settle in, then it could be. I've seen a really, really good point by Matt Jones, actually. Matt Jones, who, if you're on Twitter and you follow people that are related to Everton on Twitter, I think he does the Blue Room. Really, really good point. He said, selling Luca Dean for £25 million for the 28-year-old who maybe doesn't want to be at the club isn't the worst bit of business whatsoever. Doing it when we're possibly in a relegation battle in the middle of a season, when the replacement coming in is not guaranteed to be able to have that consistent impact, is a bit of a problem. Now, I understand that and I agree with that point. It's a massive risk from Everton and it's a massive risk from Rafael Benitez, but it's done now. And we have to start focusing on winning games of football. And that's why I want it done. I'm sick of coming on here and sitting here and saying, oh, Luca Dean's about to leave Everton. Is Luca Dean going to leave Everton? I can't wait until he's left, if I'm being honest with you. Not because I don't like him, not because I agree with it, but it's happening. Whether we love Luca Dean or we don't, whether we agree with the situation or we don't, whether we're happy or we're not, it's happening either way. So get it done, get it announced, put it to one side, and let's focus on winning games of fucking football, because that's what's going to keep us in the Premier League at the end of the season. We can't, if we're in that relegation zone on that final day of the season and we finish in the bottom three, we can't go to the Premier League and go, but Luca Dean had this period of time where he might have been leaving, but he wasn't leaving, but he was still here, but he wasn't playing, but he was rumoured to be leaving away. So that means that we can stay in the league. That's not how it works. The Luca Dean situation isn't important now because he's left. He's done it. We can have our opinion, and I will be sitting down and having my opinion as I do on everything, and everybody will be getting involved in the live comments as they usually do. He might be fed up with Benitez or the tactics, and he mightn't have wanted to leave Everton. He might just not want to play under Benitez. Whatever the reasoning is, whatever the rationale is, it's not important now because he's left, or he certainly, as I said, within the next coming hours or so, looks set to leave. It would be a monumental F up if he doesn't leave Everton Football Club to join Aston Villa. So put it to one side, get it over and done with, get it announced, get it off our shoulder. Get it off, because it's hanging over all of us. All as we're doing on social media at the moment is looking at Fabrizio Romano. Let's look at the Echo. Let's look at the Athletic. Has it been announced yet? Has it been agreed yet? Has he gone yet? This, that and the other. That's all we seem to be doing at the moment. Looking over, differences in sources and sort of saying, is it done? Has he gone? I can't believe we're selling him. Well, it's happening. It's happening. Again, it's not. When I woke up this morning and read that the deal had been agreed, I couldn't have been less surprised. And I was seeing some Blues on Twitter like, oh my God, can't believe this is happening. We've known this has been happening for weeks. We've known it's been happening for weeks. Get it over and done with. And let's focus on what, for me, is the most important thing in this situation. We can come on here and talk about players leaving, joining, rumoured to be leaving, rumoured to be joining. Most important thing is all I'm asked about at the moment, and I'm going to be deadly honest with all of you, the 79 people watching, by the way, if you're enjoying, please hit that like button. It does only take a second. If you're new to the channel, don't forget to subscribe. We had 100 people watching before, so if we could share the stream and maybe get those numbers up, that'd be great. Do you know what? I'm going to be deadly honest with all of you here. All I'm asked about is getting 3 points on Saturday. Luca Dean, whether he would be an Everton player or not, wouldn't be playing on Saturday anyway. Anwar El Ghazi, whether he is an Everton player or not, may or may not feature on Saturday. I don't know. All I'm asked about is getting 3 points on Saturday. That's all I'm worried about at the moment. I'm not worried about Luca Dean, where he goes, where he's going to. The fact that it's a rival club, this, that, and the other. I really can only be I can only be worried and bothered and concerned about whether or not we're going to go out and get 3 points against the side that we absolutely should be getting 3 points against. Norwich aren't very good. They're not very good. Yes, it's away from home, but they'll be looking at the game thinking Everton aren't very good. And if we want to stay in the Premier League, even though it might be too little too late, we need to start winning games. So the Dean situation and this whole scenario and this whole situation has gotten me to the point now where I really am at the get it done, get it announced, move on with it. Release a statement. Thanks to Lucas for his time at the club. Luca Dean can say whatever he likes. I'm sure he'll release a post on social media about Evertonians. We'll have a little moan about it for half an hour, 40 minutes, or we'll have a little discussion about it for half an hour, 40 minutes, and then we can all go, right, put that behind us now, Saturday. That's a massive weight off of the shoulder. rightly or wrongly, of everybody at the football club. It's unnecessary noise, and it's an unnecessary distraction from what the real problem with this football club is. But there's multiple real problems. One of them is the people at the top are fucking useless and can't run a football club. But the real in time now problem at this very moment is the fact that we can't win football matches in the Premier League, and we desperately need to start winning football matches in the Premier League, because I don't care what anyone says, what any Evertonian says, what any opposition fan says, what anyone in the media says. Everton aren't too big to go down. Everton aren't too good to go down. Everton haven't got too good of a squad to go down. There might be teams in a worse position than us this season. There might be teams with worse players. There might be teams with worse squads. But you know what? There's a couple of teams in this Premier League that probably haven't got better squads than Everton. There's a couple of teams in this league that probably haven't got better quality of players than Everton. But there's those teams in this league that are in that situation, I guarantee you, will work harder than this Everton squad will want it more than this Everton squad will. So if it comes to Everton being in a relegation battle, it's not just about your quality of your team. It's about the desire, the commitment, the passion, the want, the fight, the energy. And I worry that this Everton side won't have that. So, as I said, Luca Digne looks set to be joining Aston Villa. It's all but confirmed. Fabrizio Romano saying it's a done deal. Liverpool Echo, The Athletic, various different sources. Sky Sports saying earlier on today that the deal has been agreed for £25 million. Personal terms were never an issue, apparently. And it just seems like a matter of time. He's in Birmingham today for his medical. Anwar El Ghazi looks to be coming the other way in a completely unrelated deal, a loan deal until the end of the season. Aston Villa want £15 million for him. Everton weren't willing to pay £15 million for him. But as I said, for me, I'm just worried about Saturday. I really am. I really, really am. Because if we don't win on Saturday, firstly, he's got to go. The manager's got to go if we don't win on Saturday. But secondly, we're in a bad situation if we don't win on Saturday. And that's all. All I care about is Everton Football Club and doing what's best for Everton and where Everton will be at the end of the season. And I'd love to sit here and confidently say, no, we won't go down. We'll be all right. But I can't, honestly, from the bottom of my heart. Some of the football I've watched, some of the performances I've watched recently, I can't say that from the bottom of my heart. I hope it to be the case, obviously, and I hope that we take some momentum from the game against Hull and, the win against Hull, and we can take that into Saturday and come up against a really poor side and beat them. I'm not asked about walking or, wiping the floor with them, beating them 6 or 7-0. I'm not asked about that. Win 1-0. In fact, winning 1-0 would be amazing because it would mean we kept a clean sheet. Win 1-0. Win 2-1. Win 5-4, just win. Because we really need to start winning games of football. But anyway, as I said, that's the situation with Luca Digne. Let us know your thoughts on it in the comment section down below. I'm sure within the next 48 hours or so, we'll be talking about Luca Digne as an Aston Villa player, and that will be that. That's also the latest on Anwar El Ghazi as well. Let us know your thoughts in the comment section down below. We haven't had any other transfer rumours, really. We spoke about the Mason Holgate stuff yesterday. We spoke about the Alan stuff yesterday. As I said, Abdoulaye Doucouré has done an interview with Everton FC, but it's nothing to do with transfers, of course. It's to do with with the Liverpool Echo, not EvertonFC.com. It's to do with his position in the team and what he expects and this, that and the other. So yeah, let us know your thoughts on the El Ghazi deal. Let us know your thoughts on the Luca Digne stuff as well. If you're enjoying, by the way, so far, please hit that like button. It does only take a second. If you're new to the channel, don't forget to subscribe as well. Let's get into the live comments before we do finish up. Jason says, as an Everton fan, we haven't said this for years, but Sunday is a 5-pointer. Sunday is a 8-pointer, mate. It's an absolute must-win. Nicholas says, fact, we can't defend set pieces. Yes, Pat says Villa fans are just blind and in dreamland because all the big names linked to Aston Villa. I know as a Villa fan, El Ghazi constantly made impacts every time he'd come on whilst playing with an average Villa team. There you go. Anwar is the answer. There you go. So there's a Villa fan who's talking positively about the El Ghazi signing. Interesting. We play Villa in a couple of weeks. That could get spicy. Well, yeah, absolutely no doubt that Luca Digne will start that game. Probably no doubt that Luca Digne will score in that game as well, because that's what happens, doesn't it? Nicholas says, yeah, a 10-pointer. Abigail says, Vitali is a good defender, and so as Patterson, just need to give them time to adjust. We need a central defender. I'd offer Brentford 2 mil for Jansen with Allgate on loan to buy. Yeah, we do need a central defender. Absolutely a necessity. And I agree. I think the two young fullbacks are really, really good bits of business. Really, really good signings. We don't beat Norwich, Rafa out. Well, if we don't beat Norwich, there's absolutely no way back, in my opinion. Dave says when we have been to Hull with a full team and done 2-2, it's shite. The football shite was shite. I can't disagree with that, mate. To be honest with you, we're in a relegation race because of Benitez. Fact, well, because of poor tactical decisions and poor football as well. The players are to blame as well. Don't get me wrong. Ian says need to give El Ghazi a chance before writing him off. Many were quick to judge Townsend and Gray before they played. Yeah, I agree, but where does he come in? I'd be really, really interested actually before we do finish up, and we'll read a couple of these out before we do finish up. Let us know in the live comments just quickly, where does, in your opinion, El Ghazi comes in to the football club? Let's say we sign him tomorrow or today, whenever it may be. Where does he fit in at Everton, El Ghazi? Is he a bench player, solely a bench player? Does he start? You know, if he comes on, who's he coming on for? Are you a little bit worried that it might hinder the progression of somebody like an Anthony Gordon? Let us know before we finish up. Lampard in, says Kieran Rance. Not too sure on that. I'd rather have Duncan Ferguson than Frank Lampard, personally. Would the game on Saturday be a good one for Patterson to start, says Damien? I think it would. 2 more defeats and he is a goner. I don't know. Jeff says we're going to have to win Saturday or shit is going to get real. I agree. If we don't beat Norwich, Rafa out, says Sean. Warren says, have any of our players had COVID from one week to the next? Different players. They have, but I don't think there's any with it now. Joseph says, next Everton game, make sure you leave a full time to avoid the traffic. Stephen says bench. What's happening with Neres? He's going to Shakhtar Donetsk, I believe. Abigail says to give Ashley a chance for the rest of the season. Can't be any worse than what we've got. He can play number 10 as well. Very, very young. Very, very inexperienced. It would be a massive risk. But, you know, I get where you're coming from. Goodison will be so toxic if we lose to Norwich. Well, the game's away from home, so it will be empty, but I get where you're coming from. It is away from home, aren't we? We're not at home. No, we beat Norwich at home. Neres is going to Shakhtar, says Abigail. Dave says El Ghazi, the top footballer. He'll get 10 match winners a season. Let's hope so. Abigail says Shakhtar. Where are we then? Damien says, would love Golovin at us, but the price tag too high this month, 40 to 50 million. Get a gentleman's agreement in place. Apparently, he really likes Benitez. Apparently. Whether or not Benitez will be here come the end of the season is a different question. Stanley says, swear your teams are the only positive coming from Everton being so bad at the moment, so done with the club, but I'll still be going up to Newcastle in February to watch a relegation 6-pointer. Thank you very much, Sam. Really appreciate it. Yeah, let's hope we're out of the situation by then. Kieran says, why would you want Dunk over Lampard? I want Lampard because he plays a high press and will bring a connection between the academy and the first team. I just think, for me, I think Duncan Ferguson at this point knows the squad, knows the players, knows those players that come into training on a Monday and think, I can't be arsed for a few weeks, so I'm going to say I've got an injury. Knows the players that are committed and want to work hard and want to battle. We don't know whether or not he's a good manager or not. Lampard is a good manager, but I just think we need somebody to rally the club together, first and foremost, if Benitez goes. And let's be honest, Duncan Ferguson will be given it in the interim, I would like to hope anyway, and see where he goes with it. And I'm just not a massive fan of Lampard. I'm not. Maybe do a good job. He did a brilliant job at Chelsea first season, but I don't know. I wouldn't be massively opposed to Lampard. But Jeff says, "Are you loud in real life? Pat, you must be the life of the party." Tommy says, absolutely, Benitez must be sacked if we lose or draw at Norwich. How many games is he allowed to keep not winning? Let Dunk take over and win some games. El Ghazi is more than 10 than wing for me. Ali might be coming up as well. Mark says, I know Everton fans might be out the loop on this because it's been a while, but you get 3 points for a win, so it's a 6-pointer, 5 points. Literally makes no sense. I'd have Lampard and Ferguson, says Abigail. Nicholas says, Cam, you're right. When we have to start winning games, we do have to start winning games. That's the most important thing. Ultimately, that is the that's the be all and end all, isn't it? Really, we need to start winning games of football. Meg versus Jake says, Cam Dean hasn't had a great season. That's why I think he's worth 25 million. I mean, 7 assists last season, not great. Defensively, not bad. Interesting. Eric says, Rafa's man management hasn't been good, but I like his work in the transfer market. Well, ultimately, he's the manager, so his job is what's going on the pitch. And that's not good enough, in my opinion. Jeff says the Dean deal is brilliant. We've swapped one older fullback for 2 younger fullbacks, and it's cost us now, plus the combined wages of 2 is 50k a week lower. Good way of looking at things, I suppose. Was annoyed yesterday, but if Dean doesn't want to play for us, bye-bye, says Jason. Eric says, I think we should get Pogba when his contract runs out. He said it was always his Dean to play under Rafa. Did he? I don't remember reading that interview. But anyway, look, we are going to finish it there then. Kieran says, fair enough, but do you think he has the experience to do the job? He's not done it anywhere else. Good point, mate. Good point. But Lampard didn't have the experience when he went to Derby. And I get some people saying it'd be a risk because of where we are in the league. I get all of that. But ultimately, has Lampard ever been faced with a relegation battle? He hasn't. So, you know, how experienced is Lampard in dealing with that? Not very. He was faced with, if he doesn't finish in the top 4, he's getting sacked. And he's, don't get me wrong, I think he's a good manager, but we're in a different situation. But listen, Benitez doesn't look like he's going anywhere at the moment, so we'll have that conversation when it comes to it. Anyway, look, we are going to finish it up there. Then if you have enjoyed this live stream, please do hit that like button. If you are new to the channel, don't forget to subscribe as well. Massive thank you to everybody for getting involved in the live comments. Sorry I couldn't get involved with all of the live comments, but I really do appreciate everybody getting involved. If you are new to the channel, don't forget to subscribe. Pat, I hope you subscribe, mate. I know you're a Villa fan, but I hope you'll be subscribing. If you could do that, it would mean a massive amount to me. It's completely free, and it helps the channel grow, and it helps me know that people are liking this sort of content and enjoying what I've got to say. But anyway, big thank you for watching. Pat says he was faced with liquidation with Derby. He was, to be fair. He was. I suppose that's true. And so is Rooney at the moment as well. But look, we'll wait and see. Big thanks for watching. If you have enjoyed this one, please do leave a like. It only takes a second, and if you're new, don't forget to subscribe. We will be back either tomorrow at around about the same time, 4:15, to talk about more transfer updates, or we might even be back before then with a video about Luka Dean leaving and/or Anwar El Ghazi joining. So look out for those. As soon as those players are announced, we will have those videos out. Big thank you for watching. Nicholas says Longstaff news. There isn't any at the moment. Jeff says, to be honest, our fans are being passive and apathetic for ages. At Goodison has been a library. At least this drama has energised the fans. Mozza says, didn't read my comments. Sigurman telling someone on you. What was the comment, mate? Get it in now and I'll read it before we finish. See about the Toffee says, Eugene. Pat says, best of luck, Everton fans. Stay positive. Is right. Nicholas says, Everton not down. Everton not being down in my lifetime. Born in 1954. Well, there you go. But as I said, I refuse to be of this thought process or opinion of Everton are too good to go down. Everton are too big to go down. It's nonsense. It's absolute nonsense. Tommy says up the F and Toffees is right. Come on, Mozzie, get your comments in and we'll read it out. I can't find it. Let me try and find it actually before we do go. As I said, please hit that like button if you have enjoyed it. Don't forget to subscribe. It only takes a second and it means an absolutely massive amount to me. Mozzie, I can't find your comment, my mate. You'll have to get it back in the live comments. The comments there's been that many, which is unbelievable, by the way. Thank you all so much for your support. It just means a massive amount to me. It really does. I think Moz has got off. Moz says joking Cam comments weren't great. Alright mate, no worries. Anyway, massive thank you. Really do appreciate all of the support. If you've enjoyed it, hit that like button. Don't forget to subscribe. If you're watching a YouTube video, leave your thoughts down below and we'll get involved with as many of them as we can. Massive thank you all for watching, and we'll see you soon on The Mighty Blues.